The ticket in my pocket. The suitcase was already packed when I came downstairs, sitting by the front door like a stranger waiting to be let in, except it was mine, and the stranger was my own daughter-in-law standing beside it with her arms crossed and her chin lifted, telling me it was time I found somewhere else to live. My name is Daniel Watfold. I am 68 years old. 3 days after that suitcase sat by the door, I won $10 million, and the same woman who packed my bags was calling my phone 11 times in a single morning. But let me start at the beginning, because the beginning is where the truth lives. I had lived in that house for 22 years. I built the porch with my own hands the summer my son Muckers turned 12. I planted the maple tree in the backyard the year my wife, Ulana, was diagnosed with the cancer that would take her 4 years later. When she died, Muckers asked me to come live with him and his new wife, Vanessa, so I wouldn't be alone in that big house. I sold my home, the home Ulana and I built our whole life inside of, and I moved into the guest room of my son's house, believing I was doing the sensible thing, the loving thing. For the first year it was fine. Vanessa was polite if a little cold. She ran a tight household, everything labeled, everything scheduled, everything exactly the way she liked it. I tried to make myself small. I cooked dinner some nights so she wouldn't have to. I paid for groceries out of my pension. I watched my granddaughter, Lily, after school twice a week so Vanessa could keep her hours at the marketing firm where she worked. But somewhere along the way, small stopped being enough. Vanessa began speaking to me the way you'd speak to an employee who was underperforming. My laundry took up too much space in the hamper. My prescriptions cluttered the bathroom counter. I chewed too loud. I existed too loud. Muckers saw some of it. He'd give me an apologetic look across the dinner table sometimes, the kind of look that says I know, but I'm not going to do anything about it. My son had become a man who kept the peace by disappearing into it. The morning it ended, I had made pancakes for Lily before school, her favkrata, with the little chocolate chip smiley face, because it was her 9th birthday and I wanted to start her day right. Vanessa walked into the kitchen, saw the mess of flour on the counter, and something in her simply snapped. "This is exactly what I mean, Daniel," she said, not even looking at me, wiping the counter with sharp, furious strokes. "You don't ask, you don't clean up after yourself. This isn't your house." "It's Lily's birthday," I said. "I wanted to." "I know what day it is. I don't need you to remind me how to parent my own daughter." She turned to face me then, and her eyes had a finality in them I hadn't seen before. "I think it's time you found your own place, Daniel. Muckers and I have talked about it. This arrangement isn't working anymore." I looked past her to the hallway, half expecting my son to appear and say this was a misunderstanding. He didn't appear. I would learn later he'd left for work early that morning, conveniently, as if he'd known what was coming and chosen not to be present for it. By that evening my suitcase was packed, not by me. "I put your things together," Vanessa said, just young to the bag like she'd done me some kind of favor. "I didn't want you to have to worry about it." 68 years old, and I was being evicted from my own son's house by a woman who couldn't be bothered to look me in the eye while she did it. Lily cried. Muckers stood in the doorway with his hands in his pockets, and all he said was, "Dad, maybe it's for the best. You could use your own space again." Your own space, as if I had asked for a spa retreat, as if he didn't understand that I had already lost my own space once, the day I sold Ulana's kitchen and Ulana's porch and Ulana's maple tree to come live under his roof. I didn't argue. I have never been a man who begs to stay where he isn't wanted. I picked up the suitcase, kissed Lily on the top of her head, and told her happy birthday. Then I walked out into the cold and got into my old truck, and I sat in the driveway for 11 minutes before I could make myself turn the key. I checked into the Lakeside Motor Inn off Route 9, 12 rooms, a flickering vacancy sign, and a manager named Ruth who didn't ask questions when she saw an old man checking in alone with one suitcase and red eyes. She just handed me a key and said, "Ice machine's around back if you need it," in a voice that somehow made me feel less invisible than I had in months. That first night I lay on a stiff motel mattress and stared at a water stain on the ceiling shaped like Ohio, and I thought about my life. 68 years old, a widower, a father who'd been quietly discarded, a grandfather who might not get to watch his granddaughter grow up because I doubted Vanessa would be inviting me back for Sunday dinners. I thought about Ulana and what she would have said. She would have been furious, not sad. Furious, the kind of fury that made her cook 3 pots of soup and deliver them to every person on the block who'd wronged someone she loved, just to make a point about generosity in the face of cruelty. She always said unkindness was a debt, and debts get repaid one way or another, even if you never see the payment. The next morning, I walked to the gas station across the street for coffee, because the motel's coffee maker looked like it hadn't been cleaned since the Clinton administration. It was a small, ordinary gas station, the kind with a bell on the door and a lottery machine humming in the corner, red numbers scrolling a jackpot that read $312 million. I had never in my life bought a lottery ticket. Alana used to tease me about it. Daniel Watfold, the most cautious man in America. I budgeted everything. I didn't gamble, didn't drink more than a beer on Sundays, didn't so much as jaywalk. But standing in that gas station with my whole life reduced to a suitcase in a motel room, something in me wanted for once to do something reckless. Something that wasn't careful, something that was just for me. "Give me a ticket," I told the cashier, a young man with tired eyes who barely looked up. "Quick pick, whatever that means." He printed it out. I paid $2, and I put it in my coat pocket and forgot about it almost immediately, because that same afternoon my phone rang, and it was Ruth from the front desk telling me my son was outside asking for me. Muckers stood in the motel parking lot looking like a man who hadn't slept. "Dad, I'm sorry," he said. "I should have said something. I should have stood up for you." "You should have," I agreed. I wasn't cruel about it. I was just honest, in a way I hadn't allowed myself to be in years. "But you didn't, Muckers. And I need you to understand something. I'm not angry that Vanessa wanted her own house back. It's her house too, and maybe I overstayed. What I'm angry about is that my own son let his wife pack his father's bags like I was a piece of unwanted furniture, and didn't say a single word." Marcus didn't have an answer for that because there wasn't one. He offered me money, which I declined. He offered to talk to Vanessa, which I told him not to bother with. I wasn't looking for an apology performance. I was looking for the son I used to know, the one who cried at his mother's funeral and held my hand in the front pew and told me he'd always take care of family. That son, it seemed, had been slowly negotiated out of existence over years of small surrenders. He left. I went back to my room and didn't think about the lottery ticket in my coat pocket again for 2 more days. It was Ruth, actually, who reminded me. She was watching the evening news in the little office behind the front desk, and I'd come to pay for another 2 nights, and the anchor on the screen was reading off numbers with the kind of manufactured excitement reserved for lottery drawings. "Somebody in this county's about to be rich," Ruth said, shaking her head. "Tickets sold right up the road at the Gas and Go." I froze. The Gas and Go on Route 9. That's the one. I don't remember walking back to my room. I don't remember my hands shaking as I dug through my coat pocket, past a receipt and a crumpled tissue, until I found the small slip of paper I'd nearly thrown away twice. I sat on the edge of that stiff motel bed with the television numbers glowing in my memory, and I checked them against the ticket one at a time. 7, 14, 22, 31, 44, then the Powerball number, 6. I checked it 4 times. I made Ruth check it once, standing behind the front desk with her reading glasses pushed up her nose, both of us silent, both of us staring at that little paper like it might rearrange itself if we looked away. "Daniel," she finally whispered, "you might want to sit down." I was already sitting. I sat there for a long time. The jackpot, split with one other winner in another state, came to just over $20 million before taxes. After the lump sum payout and the government's share, my half came to a little over $10 million. $10 million, sitting in the pocket of a coat that Vanessa had folded into a suitcase 3 days earlier, believing she was throwing away an inconvenience. I want to be honest about what I felt in that motel room because it wasn't joy, not at first. It was something closer to disbelief mixed with an old ache, the specific ache of realizing that the same week my family decided I was worth nothing, the universe decided otherwise. I thought of Alina immediately. I thought she would have loved this. She would have laughed until she cried. I didn't tell anyone right away. I drove to the state lottery office 2 towns over with a lawyer I found through a frantic internet search. A sharp, no-nonsense woman named Priya Anand, who specialized in sudden wealth cases, which apparently was a real specialty, a whole field built around people like me whose lives had just been upended by luck. She walked me through everything, the claiming process, the trust I should set up before my name ever became public record, the importance of not making rash decisions in the first 90 days. People come out of the woodwork, she told me, sliding paperwork across her desk. Family, especially. You'll want boundaries in writing before emotions start running the show. I thought of Vanessa's face, cold as a January morning, telling me this isn't your house. I thought of Marcus standing in the doorway with his hands in his pockets. I signed everything Priya put in front of me. The state allowed the option of claiming through a trust to protect anonymity, at least for a while, and I took it, calling it the Alina Whitfield Legacy Trust after my wife. It felt right. It felt like she was there for it, the way she should have been. For a week and a half, I lived my strange double life. A man worth $10 million, still sleeping in a $12 a night motel room, still eating gas station sandwiches, still waving to Ruth every morning like nothing in the world had changed. I needed that week. I needed to sit with the money quietly before I let it change the shape of my life or the shape of my family. But secrets like that don't stay secret in a small county. A local reporter doing a routine story on the gas and goes big sale noticed the trust filing attached to public lottery records, dug a little, and by the second Sunday, a small item ran in the county paper. Local man wins share of Powerball jackpot, $10 million, identity shielded by trust. It didn't take a genius. Marcus called me 4 times that morning. I let it go to voicemail 4 times. On the 5th call, I answered. Dad, his voice was shaking. Dad, is it you? The lottery thing, is that you? I looked out the motel window at the grey parking lot, at my old truck, at the vacancy sign flickering even in daylight. Yes, Marcus, it's me. There was a long silence on the line, the kind of silence that carries an entire family's worth of shame and hope tangled together. Dad, we need to talk. Can I come see you, please? You know where I am, I said and hung up. He arrived within the hour, and this time Vanessa was with him, stepping out of the car in the motel parking lot wearing a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in over a year, warm, wide, entirely unfamiliar. It was the kind of smile you'd give a stranger you were meeting for the first time, not the father-in-law you'd packed a suitcase for 11 days earlier. Daniel, she said, coming toward me with her arms half open, as if we might embrace. We've been so worried about you. Staying in a place like this, you should have called us. I didn't move to hug her. I let my arms stay at my sides, and I watched something flicker across her face when she registered that I wasn't going to make this easy. I did call, I said. Marcus knew exactly where I was. You both did. We should have insisted you come home, she said quickly, correcting course. We were giving you space. We thought that's what you wanted. You told me to leave, Vanessa. You packed my bags while I was upstairs. There's no version of that story where you were giving me space. Her smile faltered just slightly before she rebuilt it. Daniel, we're family. Whatever happened before, we can put that behind us now. Especially with everything that's happened. You shouldn't be alone dealing with all this. Come home. We'll take care of you. There it was, not an apology. Not even the pretense of one. Just a redirection toward the money, so thin and so fast I nearly laughed out loud. Marcus, to his credit, looked uncomfortable standing beside her, shifting his weight. Staring at the cracked motel pavement instead of at me. Dad, I really am sorry, he said quietly. I should have stood up for you before any of this happened. Not because of the money, I mean that. I believed him actually, some small, real part of him meant it. But belief in a person's regret and trust in their character are 2 very different things, and I had spent 68 years learning to tell the difference. I appreciate that, Marcus, I said. I do, but I'm not moving back in with you, not now, maybe not ever. That's not punishment, it's just the truth. I built a whole life for your mother and me, and I gave it up to come live in your house because I thought that's what family does. It turns out family, at least the way Vanessa practices it, is conditional, and I'm not interested in being loved conditionally anymore. Vanessa's composure cracked fully then. So what, you're just going to cut us out, punish Lily because of this? Don't you dare put my granddaughter in your mouth like a bargaining chip, I said, and my voice came out steadier and colder than I expected. I will always be there for Lily. I will always love her, and I will make sure she knows her grandfather. That has nothing to do with you or with this money, or with whatever role you think you deserve in how I spend it. I turned to Marcus. You're my son, that doesn't change, but trust isn't something you get back just because my bank account changed. That's something you rebuild slowly, with actions, over time, the same way anyone rebuilds trust after they've broken it. If you're willing to do that genuinely without an agenda, I'm here. But I want you to think very carefully about whether you're here for me or here for what I have. They left 20 minutes later, Vanessa's smile long gone, replaced by something tighter and angrier, the mask slipping to reveal what had probably been underneath it the whole time. In the months that followed, I did what Alina would have wanted. I bought a modest house, not extravagant, just comfortable with a porch, because I have always believed in porches. I set up a college fund for Lily that neither Marcus nor Vanessa could touch, administered through Priya's firm, released only for tuition. I gave a portion to the local shelter where Alina used to volunteer on Saturday mornings, and another portion to a scholarship in her name at the community college. I helped Ruth, the motel manager who'd looked me in the eye like a human being when I had nothing, pay off her mother's medical debt, quietly, without ever telling her it was me until the bills simply stopped arriving. Marcus called every week. Sometimes I answered. Slowly, without Vanessa present, without an agenda attached, he started showing up, helping me move furniture into the new house, bringing Lily over on Saturdays to sit on the porch and eat the pancakes I still made her, chocolate chip smiley face and all. It wasn't fixed. Some things I've learned never fully are, but it was honest, which was more than I'd had in years. Vanessa, for her part, sent one email through a lawyer 3 months later, requesting what she called a fair conversation about family financial planning. I let Priya handle the response. It was short. I think about that morning often, the suitcase by the door, the cold in Vanessa's eyes, the way she said this isn't your house, like it was the end of an argument instead of the beginning of one. She was right in a way. It wasn't my house, but she never once considered that the man she was throwing out the door might still have a house of his own left to build. I built it, on my own terms, with my own hands, the way I built that porch 22 years ago for a wife who believed unkindness always finds its way back around. She was right about that too. Some debts, it turns out, really do get repaid, just never in the way anyone expects, and never to the person who thinks they're owed.